Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving right into a classic fable that it hits a little close to home for anyone who's ever tried to take the easy way out. We're talking about personal responsibility and why dodging hard work doesn't actually save you time. In fact, it almost always creates a way heavier load for you to carry in the end. Let's get into it. So, picture this scenario. And honestly, we've probably all been guilty of this at some point, right? Have you ever just invented a ridiculously creative excuse to avoid doing something hard? Meet Tofu. Tofu is currently claiming his hand hurts terribly. And, oh, how mysterious, his homework book has suddenly vanished into thin air. But his actual endgame? He really just wants to dodge his responsibilities and binge watch cartoons all day long. Now, look at the stark contrast between Tofu and his sister Tia. Tofu is out here spinning this massive, complex web of excuses, while Tia is just dialed in and focused on actually doing the work. You see, Tia understands a pretty fundamental truth about personal responsibility. Excuses, they're super easy to manufacture, but your responsibilities absolutely do not magically disappear just because you choose to ignore them. Okay, so to snap Tofu out of this lazy spell, Tia shares what I think is an absolutely brilliant allegory. It's the story of a hardworking, dedicated salt trader and his, not-so-dedicated horse. Unlike the trader, this horse literally despised the daily grind. I mean, every single day meant lugging these incredibly heavy sacks of salt across a river, and the horse spent the entire trek just wishing he could take a nap instead of putting in an honest day's effort. And this is where the story perfectly captures that alluring but super dangerous short-term payoff of laziness. One day, the horse accidentally slips and falls into the river. Well, because salt naturally dissolves in water, the river washes a ton of it away. So when the horse finally stands back up, his burden is significantly lighter. Boom! He thinks he's just discovered the ultimate life hack for an easy ride. Thinking he is an absolute genius who has completely outsmarted his master, this cunning horse decides to make this little accident a daily habit. He literally tells himself he's got to try the dipping trick again before the boss catches up. So day after day, he actively fakes the slip and fall routine just to dodge the hard work he's supposed to be doing. But, here is the really critical thing about dodging work. Eventually, somebody notices. The trader isn't fooled by these weird, sudden miscalculations in his salts inventory for very long. Totally confused as to why the sacks are arriving at the market lighter and lighter, he decides to do a little investigating. He quietly follows the horse, hides in the bushes, and completely uncovers this cunning trick. Seeing this blatant avoidance, the trader decides it's time to teach his horse a permanent lesson about hard work. So the trader gets a few steps ahead. The very next day, he secretly swaps out the cargo. Instead of salt, which, remember, dissolves and gets lighter in water, he packs the sacks full of cotton. And as we all know, cotton acts exactly like a giant sponge. It aggressively soaks up water and becomes incredibly heavy. The perfect trap for a lazy horse has officially been set. And here comes the inevitable, super painful backfire. Out of sheer habit, the horse purposefully flops himself right into the river, waiting for that familiar, glorious relief. But this time, the cotton eagerly drinks up the river water. The sacks become agonizingly heavy. In a total panic, the horse dips again and again, trying to wash it away, but his avoidance strategy has literally multiplied his burden. By trying to avoid the work, he made the work 10 times harder. Which brings us right to the core truth of this whole explainer. The master looks down at his panting, exhausted horse and just lays down the law. He says, "I work very hard, and I worship my work. I don't make excuses or find tricks to fool others." He makes it crystal clear that personal responsibility is a duty you have to carry it with honesty. You simply cannot just wash it away. So, bringing it back to Tofu's living room, the light bulb finally goes on. Tofu realizes with a pretty big shock that he has been acting exactly like that lazy horse with his fake hand pain routine. Tia, meanwhile, played the role of the wise master perfectly. She held up this amazing narrative mirror to his bad behavior, and she did it without ever even raising her voice. The lesson lands perfectly. Tofu drops the excuses right then and there. He flat out admits his hand pain was totally fake and that he really just wanted to watch TV. Finally taking absolute personal responsibility, he grabs his books, sits down to do his homework immediately, and promises to always tackle his hard work before anything else. Talk about a complete turnaround. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. Are you trying to dissolve your responsibilities, or are you actually ready to carry the load? Think about it. Where in your own life might you be hauling around soaking wet sacks of cotton right now, all because of procrastination? The shortcut is always an illusion, guys. Stepping up and doing the hard work. That is the only real way forward. Catch you next time.